Hey everybody, and today I'm going to talk about getting your PhD. This is part of a three-part series. I'm going to do three talks where I'm going to talk about, prior to getting your PhD, what it's like getting it, and then what it's like afterwards, type of jobs and stuff like that, things I ran into afterwards. This is the first part about, prior to getting your PhD. I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience, as well as like things you need to consider and things I did and did not consider, and things I did right and wrong and stuff like that before I got it. So first of all, a little about me. So before I got my PhD, I was working as a management consultant. I was at a big firm in DC, and I had a very solid career path ahead of me. But, I wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do. And basically what happened is when I was maybe 23, I would tell people like, my end goal in life, when I'm 40, I'm going to retire and be a professor or something like that. Or when I'm 40, I'm going to go back for my PhD and I'd love to be a professor. And then when I got to be like 23, maybe like later, maybe 24, something like that, I kind of was getting this feeling like, hey, I don't have kids yet. If I don't do this now, am I ever really going to be able to do it? Am I going to be able when I'm 40 years old, just not pay my mortgage and all the stuff I have to pay for with kids and just go back and get my PhD? And I was starting to get a little nervous. I was starting to freak out. I felt like I had a midlife crisis at the age of 24. I really did. I mean, people would tell me like all the stuff you're saying is like midlife crisis-ish. Like I was talking about, moving to the beach and leaving DC and quitting my job, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to do something meaningful, and I wanted something, I wanted to teach, but I just wasn't sure how to make that happen. I didn't really know what getting your PhD was all about. I didn't know what it meant. I just knew, like, I think being a professor would be something that I would like to do as a lifelong goal. I wanted to have that PhD in front of my name be called Dr. Pastor and stuff like that. And I just wanted, I had certain goals like that. And I thought it would lead me to this, like, great career, and I would love what I do and have this great time. So I spent a lot of time like reflecting, is this what I want to do? So what I did is I started to search, like in my field specifically, I'm an instructional designer. So I started to search like PhD or doctoral programs, because there's other doctorate degrees out there. There's, depending on your field, you have all kinds of different end degrees. Like in education, we have a doctorate of education or a PhD, and I wasn't sure what the difference between those were. And some schools, there is a difference, and some school there's not. So it all depends on that too. But like, what did I really want? I knew personally I wanted the PhD for the simple reason I had never heard of a doctorate of education. So reflecting on this back, it really didn't make a difference. They're the same degree. But at the time, that's kind of what I thought. So you have to really just research about what kind of degree you really want. So I started looking up different schools. And one of the, the criteria that I would look at when I was starting to reflect on what schools I wanted were, what kind of job do I want coming out? Like, what kind of job do these schools say that their students are getting? I knew I wanted to be a professor, and I knew I could always fall back on corporate. So I wanted to go to a school that was going to like lead me down both of those paths. I also had to figure out how I was going to pay for this degree. I was going to give up a big corporate job and probably a lifetime pay cut to go into higher education. So I had to figure out how I was going to pay. So one of the things I did is I started to meet with faculty at all these various universities that I was considering and talking to them seriously about assistantships and tuition waivers and stuff like that. And what I found was that certain schools were able to offer tuition reimbursements if you were a graduate assistant. Basically what that meant is they would pay me a salary, small salary, but enough to live, health insurance, and full tuition. So the schools that were talking about that were the schools that really piqued my interest and got me, made me want to really seriously consider their program. Additionally, you always want to speak to the faculty. So just me having access to faculty to be able to talk to them about this stuff before I had even applied was a huge plus, and let me know like what I was going to get out of that program, like what to expect, because you always do need to talk to faculty from the program you're considering. So, figuring out how I was going to pay for it was a big thing. The next thing I wanted to figure out was, what am I giving up? Like, I'm giving up, I'm giving up this salary, I'm giving up this lifestyle, so what am I going to get? So I started to talk when I was meeting with the faculty and talking to those schools. I wanted to talk to them, well, like, what kind of salaries can I expect out of your program? What are the students doing? Trying to get a clear picture, because I was getting vastly different answers from different programs, meaning that their students were going into different things. Some programs, the students were really going all corporate. Some, students were all really going into faculty. Sometimes it was a mixture. I wanted to go to that mixture, so I had to really consider that. And I also wanted to find out, like, what a professor really did. Like, it's really important to find out, like, in your field, what does a professor do? Because it's really different depending on what field you're in. It can be a different type of job. I also wanted to consider how long it would take. Now, I already had a master's degree in the field, which meant that was 2 years I didn't need to go back to school for, because I had already done that. So if you don't have a master's degree, it's going to take longer. So I was able to knock out, I think I was able to sub in 15 credits of my doctorate degree from my master's degree. Which is like a year and a half of extra school. So I think I was able to finish my doctorate degree in about 4 years, something like that. I'll talk about that more in one of my other videos. But that's about with my plan. I had like this 4-year goal in my head, which was extremely fast. Most of the figures I was getting from people were, yeah, you could do it in 3.5, 4 years. Most people take 6. So I knew I wanted to be the person that took the quicker amount of time. So I was going to figure out how to do that once I was in the program. The other thing that you need to really, really, really consider is who are the professors in the program. I ended up choosing a school, which was Penn State University, after meeting with one of the faculty members who I had known for a very long time, and got a lot of reassurance from them. But knowing who, and I also knew they were a prominent figure in my field, which was very beneficial to me because I really trusted their opinion. So, talking to the faculty and finding out who they are, like if you're planning on being a researcher, go to a school where they have the best researchers. If you're planning on being a teacher, go to the school where they have the best teachers. If you're planning on going into corporate or writing or whatever it is, go to a school that has professors that are going to be able to teach you that stuff, because it's so vital. Picking where you're going to go makes such a difference in everything. And, me looking back at this now, I was a naive 24-year-old. I had told people that I was going to be a professor. I was going to live somewhere where my goal was to be a professor at a prestigious university. I was going to live somewhere where people vacation, somewhere that I loved. I was done living in a city, and I was going to live somewhere great. And people would kind of laugh at me, and looking back, I totally see why they did. I did not realize what I was getting myself into. How hard it was going to be, what the struggles I was going to run into as I did this. So those are things you need to really, really research and consider before you're going to get your degree. I'm going to talk about some of that stuff in my future videos where I talk about the rest of this. Thank you.